Aloha everyone, Michelle Melendez here with Blossom Inner Wellness, and I'm here with Michael Tiavana, who is incredible. He has been an activist for freedom most of his life. He was at the very first Earth Day. What year was that?
1970.
1970, he was at the very first Earth Day, and he has been understanding what has been going on with the economics of the world for a very long time. And this video is going to share what has been happening with economics and what to prepare for and what to expect as we move forward in these amazing times. So welcome, Michael. I'm glad to have you here on my YouTube channel.
Thanks for having me.
So what is, first, how did you get started? Like, how did you get started? You were at the first Earth Day. What was the catalyst for getting you into understanding what's happening with the economics in the world?
Okay, I stand corrected. It was 1972.
1972. That was the year
April 20th.
I was born.
As was early. And it was a compendium of causes at the time. So it wasn't just about the environment. It was about zero population growth, women's rights, civil rights, peace movement was involved, huge demonstrations all over the country, but it was mostly a play day for the earth, to celebrate the earth, and a lot of kite flying, and a lot of games, and a lot of fun was had that day.
Oh, that's fantastic.
To celebrate the birthday of the earth.
That's awesome. And so when did you start thinking about or exploring and researching about economics of the world and what's been going on with our economy?
Well, my life has always been influenced by what's going on in the world, and it started in 1974, I believe, when OPEC had an oil embargo on the United States, and all of a sudden everybody panicked, and what did they do? They went out and bought toilet paper. So the pandemic wasn't the first time this happens. It just seemed when people panic about getting their needs met, the number one need is to cover their ass. That's been proven. So I saw the grocery shelves at Safeway be depleted within 2 weeks, and I went, wow, maybe we should be more prepared. We're kind of fragile here. When you're living in the city and you're dependent on those grocery stores to bring you all your needs, and then all of a sudden they're not there, it gives you it's a wake-up call when that happened. So a lot of us had that wake-up call back then. That started the Back to the Land movement too in the 70s. A lot of people said, fuck it, I'm going to go take care of myself out in the country.
Yeah, absolutely. So as far as what's happening now with the economics, when do you think this started, and what has been happening? Like, I know about 1913 when the Federal Reserve was created over Christmas, and it actually is not part of the government. It's actually part of the banks that they own it, a private corporation. So
Correct.
yeah, so what was the start for you? As as far back as where would you like to start this story about the economics?
The story starts in 1983 when the Club of Rome put out a report.
And who's the Club of Rome?
It's another secret society of elite people that have great influence over our lives. And they were putting out that they were going to trash the dollar and have a new currency. And you would have 90 days to trade in your dollars for the new dollars. That at the time they said they would be blue instead of green in color. So it was basically just switching over to another currency. And a lot of us prepared by buying land and buying different things that would make us more sovereign and not as influenced by this rumor. But everyone at the time was under the influence that some people wanted to change our economy. Fast forward to 2006, when the Bilderbergs in think it was in Belgium that year,
Yeah.
they put out that they wanted the one world currency.
Now, who are the Bilderbergs? And I'm not even sure if we're supposed to say that word, so let's not say it again.
Okay, they first met in 1954 at the Bilderberg Hotel, and it's a group of a few hundred financially influential people that financiers, bankers, Murdoch from the what do you call it, the media, just people of influence having these meetings in secret every year.
And these meetings affect all of our lives.
Totally, because what they discuss there and they put forth their plan happens. So in 2006, they put forth a plan where they would really like a one world currency and a one world government. And we know these things. These things are leaked out by people who go in to the conference. They get in somehow, and because they do invite meaty people like Stephanopoulos goes there to these things, and the influence that they have over our lives ties into David Icke brought up the Fabian Society, the designers and engineers of our society. And that's how people like Orwell can write the book 1984, because they're the ones steering our society in those directions. Aldous Huxley is another one, Brave New World. So when they say they're going to have a one world currency, how do you get there? How do you do that? We have to put all the currencies into one basket and then crash that whole system and start over with the new system. And that's what we're looking at today. So I think it's planned because it's pre-announced that this is what they want and this is what's going to happen. So the things I'm going to talk about here, I believe, are planned. But the things they do gradually meld into what we're doing. So it's called dovetailing. So it's dovetailed into where we are today, and we're going to slowly get to these other places in our lives.
So what do you think is happening with the economy right now? I mean, like the stock market, the dollar's still good, but it's like they have taken the dollar off of they're not using the dollar with trading for oil anymore. I think it's the ruble now. But what do you think is happening right now?
Well, not quite. It's
Not quite.
partly in the ruble, partly in the yuan. It's partly in all these other currencies. So,
But they stopped using the dollar for oil. Is that right?
no, they're using that too.
okay.
It just included more currencies.
Oh, okay. So
So
added
it's just
more.
our currency. So after World War II in Bretton Woods in 1944, when the world leaders came together and talked about what the world would be like after World War II, they decided that the U.S. dollar would be the currency of the world to trade in.
Yeah.
Okay, so then 1971, Nixon comes along and takes the dollar off the gold standard. Wow.
Which means it's not backed by anything now. It's just being printed, just like
So,
paper.
Make a long story short, you have to give the dollar some validity and
Some backing.
backing. So the U.S. went to Saudi Arabia and OPEC and made the petrodollar. So the dollar is really propped up by oil instead of gold. So fast forward to just recently, when the Russia just cut a deal with Saudi Arabia
Mm-hmm.
to start trading in rubles. China did the same thing with the yuan, and other countries are following suit. And that brings up the Brics currency as well. So there's there's other currencies. The petrodollar is being vaporized right in front of our eyes. And that's what gives the dollar validity.
So what you're saying is that these other countries are using their currency to get the oil when it used to be dollars. So now the dollar's value is dissipating.
Fewer people, fewer transactions are being done with the dollar. and where how Russia swung that deal is because when we pulled out of Afghanistan, it made us lose face to the Saudis. So in 1971, when we went off the gold standard and cut that deal with Saudi Arabia, we had to promise the Saudi Arabians something, and that was to protect them militarily. So since we didn't protect Afghanistan, Saudi's going, who are we going to get to protect us now? We don't trust the Americans. The Russians stepped in and said, we'll protect you. We were protecting Saudi Arabia from Israel and Russia and so on, and now it's kind of turned the table, and Russia's protecting them. Russia's dealing in rubles, so their deal is, well, said we're not going to deal in dollars anymore, we're going to deal in rubles. And so that's kind of a linchpin on the explosion of the dollar being vaporized. And see, what else happened? Oh, before that, the IMF came up with, I think a year ago,
And who is the IMF? Who are the IMF?
the International Monetary Fund. 80% of this monetary fund is US dollars. So they go around like the World Bank, lending money people predatorily, and that's how they end up taking over their countries. So we attack them with predatory loans through the IMF, development loans. And now China, Russia, India, South America, Brazil are all Brics. Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa have formed a currency out of their currencies called the Brics Currencies in 2011. Well, how are you going to launch this thing? They're doing what we've been doing through the IMF all this time, and that's create infrastructure in the world so that our industry can have roads, can have electricity, infrastructure to build on in someone else's country, where you get around labor laws, you get around environmental laws and things like that by doing it that way. And the IMF made gold the second currency. The dollar's the first primary currency for liquidity and international dealings, international business deals, and now it's gold.
Is second.
Now we have two of them.
When it was just the dollar before.
Right. It's different than backing the dollar with gold. So now you have all the central banks, many countries are hoarding gold. They're buying gold and they're hoarding it. But I won't get into the value of gold and how it's controlled, but that's another big cut into the value of the dollar. So right now the dollar is stronger than ever, and it's so strong it's ridiculous, and that's tipping the scales. It's a good time to take your money and go buy land in Venezuela or Brazil or something. It's a good deal. But as people start trading more in the Brics currencies or in gold and in other ways, that's going to mean countries are going to want to sell their dollars. There's already a big run on T-bills, and soon there'll be a run on dollars, and people will. Our country, people want to cash in their dollars, and there will be a lot of money, a lot of dollars in our country. That's going to create hyperinflation, which will totally destroy the value of the dollar. and we don't want to see that.
No, inflation's already up there, and so you're saying it's going to go even higher.
Much higher, much higher, if these trends continue. What I'd like to see is, what I think could happen is more of a dovetail thing, where we just say, okay, you people go do your Brics thing. We've got our little trading partners here in Europe and Asia, Japan, and so forth, and we'll just keep trading amongst ourselves, and you guys go trade amongst yourselves, and we'll just cut ourselves free. But it's going to be a hard one when you have Saudi Arabia and Nigeria, 2 of the 13 OPEC countries, now trading or about to start trading in Russian and Chinese and currencies or in other currencies. It just sort of breaks it up. So what are we going to end up with is a one world currency, but hopefully backed by commodities. And the commodities that we've chosen here at the farm to engage in is food and medicine. And I think those are 2 things people use almost every day, and it's a good bet. But it's going to be a whole different way of getting your needs met, other than seeing how many dollars you can get. And that's what to prepare for. What do you have to trade with your fellow citizens
Neighbor, yeah.
on this planet of value?
So you're saying that one of the best things people can do right now for themselves and for their safety and security is to start growing their own food and figuring out like getting a community and and different medicines that people will be needing. And I love that this farm does a lot of different tinctures and things that support the human body. But so that's one of the best things that people can do right now. Is there anything that people should be investing in with their dollars? You said land. Should they be getting into precious metals like gold and silver?
I've always liked the precious metals. Along with that, gemstones. In the end, it's how many diamonds do you have, and how many rubies, and so forth. So gems are very tradable. It's still to this day a cash business, and it's out of the government's control. It's one of the main reasons we went into Afghanistan, because Afghanistan is one of the greatest producers of gemstones on the planet, along with Brazil. And we've been harvesting those gems for many years, and I think the caves might have run dry or something, and then we pulled out. But it was an interesting timing of when we pulled out of Afghanistan and how we pulled out, because that has led to the dollar losing face amongst many countries. And one other thing, I was talking about the infrastructure that the IMF uses to create around the world for our industry to expand into. That's what Brics is doing. That's what the Chinese are doing. They're sponsoring a multi-trillion-dollar infrastructure investment in 145 countries in the Brics currency. So that means 145 countries are going to be building out their infrastructure using that currency. And are we going to be a part of that, United States? We have been up to this point the main infrastructure builder, and they're challenging us on that. And that's rolling out, and that's a big practical way to take over a currency. Will the Bilderbergs have their way, and we will have a new currency that's one world? That's the Great Reset. That's Klaus Schwab. That's the great changeover to a new currency. And I see a battle happening between the leaders of the Brics countries and the World Economic Forum people.
So what do you see as far as timelines go? As far as timelines go, like how much time do you think people have? And I know this is going to be a guess, but also what is something that we should be looking for that shows the devaluation of the dollar?
And what does it look like?
Yeah, what does it look like?
Yeah, we're already seeing um, great pillars of wealth around the world that don't include us. Dubai is one. Um, and we will think we're doing great because the media tells us so, but we're already so far behind. We're like number 42 in life expectancy. We're like in the 40% or 40 countries that are listed for these things. Infant mortality, you name it, all these things that we're right in there with Cuba and Venezuela on these things. And we think we have the greatest healthcare system in the world. So those people are going to continue thinking this way. They think they're going to be rich, but they're really poor compared to the rest of the world. And they're unhealthy compared to the rest of the world. And they're going to be a lot more hungry than the rest of the world.
Yes, yes, yes. I'm gonna go shut that door. Keep going.
Yeah, so you can see us lagging further behind, but it's a perceptive thing. And timing, well, it's a gradual thing, but in the next year and a half, things are going to unfold that people didn't see coming. So the four great pillars of wealth in our country, in our society, is stocks, bonds, real estate, and dollars. So how many dollars do you have? How much real estate do you have? How many stocks and bonds do you have? And you might think that's a diversified portfolio, but they're all destined to crash. Crashing at the same time, like never before, is going to make the 1930s Great Depression look like a time of wealth compared to what's happening. And it's already happened. All you have to do is go to a big city in this country and look at the homeless
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
mess. Go ahead. You
Yeah.
can reflect on that.
Yeah, the homeless, is astronomical now. It's nothing like it was, and definitely inflation. I mean, I was told in California, someone said that there was $9 a gallon for gasoline. So it's all going up, and that's not the tip of the iceberg. That's just starting to climb, is what I've been told.
Why would you go to work if it costs more to drive to work than you make? There's going to be a lot more working poor people.
Yeah.
Rents, food, all the necessities, clothing are going up.
So for people to stay grounded, starting to get in touch with your local farmers, get your community established, even start to grow your own food, small garden. I would highly recommend, and the first thing I would be growing if I was living in a city would be potatoes in some way, some
We like
starchy.
potatoes.
Yes, we like something starch, something that's heavy, that's going to support you in a long term setting. And then also trusting in a higher power right now, because this is a game that we decided to come and play as being spirits in a human body. And I really do feel for my own self that this is the liberation of the earth and the people on it, because I feel like we have been enslaved for thousands of years by these people that call themselves, I don't even want to say the word elite, because I don't feel that that's who they are. I feel that they're actual demons.
They're not special?
They're very much not special. And but I do feel that something great is coming. I do feel that there is going to be quite a challenge for us to get through. And I know we can do it. We can do it. We can get there. If you're on this planet right now and you're watching this video, you chose to be here at this time, and we've got it. Like, I remember I was feeling afraid. I was like going, Michael, are we really going to get through this time? And I'm not. What did you say to me that actually had me feel so much better? Do you remember?
Give me a clue.
You were just like, yes, because this is our mission.
Oh, this is our destined mission.
This is our destined mission.
We're the starseed transmission people, here to lead the way, to build the butterfly as the caterpillar melts away. So the Great Reset, yeah, it's an opportunity clause, but for a utopia, not a dystopia. And that's what we're building here. So if you want to invest in something, invest in seeds and keep those seeds alive by growing them out. Invest in pots and soil, things like that. Invest in carpooling. If you want to start a little taxi service or bus line that's affordable for people, that's going to be needed. You can invest in food production, right? Start canning things. You can enough for yourself and to trade with your neighbors.
Yeah. I bought 18 jars of Big Mouth mason jars. I'm going to be fermenting cabbage, Big Mouth, and they're going to be fermenting cabbage with turmeric and ginger and carrots and all kinds of different stuff. So that's what we're doing.
We're making good kraut here.
We're making good kraut, and I just wanted to give you guys this information, not to have fear be the basis, but have understanding, preparation, and also excitement, because we really don't know what freedom is. You know, we think like taxes. We don't. There's actually we're not supposed to pay all of this stuff out. You know, why is it that we have to pay property taxes every single year when you supposedly own or are the steward of a certain land? Like, that is all going, that in my personal opinion, I feel when after the Great Reset happens and we get through this time, which we will get through it, that there will be a utopian world where we actually understand truly what freedom is and why we're supposed to be here. We can actually manifest things like that because we are frequency beings. We are connected to the field of all possibilities, which is the empty space around us. This is not empty. This is a frequency field. Like, we walk through frequency every day, just like fish swim in water every day. And in this frequency field, we can actually connect more to the plants. And I feel that once this happens, that is going to be even stronger than before. And we're going to have an amazing planet that we've seen that is just magical. And what are your thoughts on that?
Yes, there's a lot of resources to empower us on our mission. And a lot of it does come from the unseen world. And when you tap into those power sources, things happen. So keep your vision strong and clear, and keep your dreams alive.
Yes.
And make sure your dreams are filled with a lot of virtue. And make sure you know yourself and what your destined path is. So when you think of a butterfly, and you're a cell in a butterfly, what part of the butterfly are you in? Are you in the eye? Are you in the proboscis? Are you in the wing?
I'm on a wing.
You're in the wing. you you're responsible for the
Flight.
mobility. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I like to be in the juice flow, the blood flow.
The blood flow.
Yeah. But know yourself enough to know where you are in the butterfly, and then plug into someone that's building a butterfly in your community and start building it.
Yep. This is about us coming together and unifying in harmony and in peace together. And that's where we're headed. It's harmony, unity, and peace together. And it's up to each one of us, for you, to find that for yourself, find that for your family. And, you know, we used to know our neighbors. It's time to get back and know your neighbors again. Know who's around you and know how you can support and how you can be supported. So just sending you so much love from the big island of Hawaii. And Michael, is there anything else you want to share before we head off?
We love you, and aloha.
Aloha.